Starting the Division 2 as a new agent in 2025 can feel overwhelming, but with the right build, you can flip the battlefield in your favor from day one. In this video, we're breaking down the top 3 best PvE builds for new players. Gear setups that deliver raw power, survivability, and simplicity without needing exotic weapons or maxed out gear. Whether you're holding the line solo or backing up a squad, these beginner-friendly builds will give you a serious edge in the streets of DC. If you're looking for more advanced builds that utilize the most powerful exotics and named gear pieces in the Division 2, check out my top 8 best PvE builds for Year 7 Season 1 by clicking the link at the top of the screen. Now, let's jump in and transform your agent into a force to be reckoned with. Before we break down each build, I want to ensure that every new player is farming for these pieces efficiently. If you want guaranteed drops for the gear or weapon you are searching for, your best option is to play Countdown. This game mode has several difficulties to choose from, but if you want to queue up with players quickly, play on Challenging. Countdown is the best game mode for build crafting because you can open up your map when the match begins and select which targeted loot to farm for. In addition to this, you'll get plenty of named gear and weapons from hunters, and you can stack Countdown credits to purchase exotic caches from the Countdown vendor within the base of operations. You can farm the open world or summit if you would like, but you're not going to get anywhere near as much loot from those game modes as you are from Countdown. Pick your favorite build in today's video, farm each piece with the targeted loot feature, and you'll have a powerful build in no time. If you're a new agent looking to melt enemies and dominate all content, the Striker build is your ticket to non-stop carnage. This beginner-friendly setup is all about aggressive, fast-paced combat, stacking damage with every shot, and turning you into a walking turret. Striker's core strength comes from its Striker's Gamble talent, which stacks bonus weapon damage every time you hit a target. Each shot builds momentum, making your damage ramp up quickly in sustained firefights. Striker is also extremely beginner-friendly because it can be built early with relatively common pieces. You don't need to min-max everything to feel the power. You'll notice the damage boost even with mid-tier gear. You may notice that I'm using a shield on this build, and the reason for that is the extra layer of survivability from range. In order for this build to work, you need to constantly hit targets. If you spend too much time in cover or if you play passive, it will be difficult to reach your maximum damage potential. The shield won't make you invincible, but it will mitigate enough damage to keep you alive, so you can keep your momentum up with Striker's Gamble. Striker's is a very versatile gear set. It can be utilized in various ways. This version in particular focuses on providing you with the most amount of damage in the shortest amount of time, which means you will be running all weapon damage cores with no armor. This is a high risk, high reward build. If you play your angles correctly, utilize your shield when needed, and maintain your aggression, nothing will be able to stop you. This build utilizes the Technician specialization so you can deal more damage to drones and robotics and gain access to the linked laser pointer attachment, which will allow you to pulse enemies you aim at. For your primary weapon, you can use any assault rifle you choose. The Police M4 is one of the best assault rifles in the game due to its stability, rate of fire, and DPS. Since you'll be pulsing enemies you aim at, the best talent to put on your primary weapon is Flatline, which amplifies weapon damage by 15% to pulsed enemies. For your secondary and sidearm, feel free to use whatever you like. It doesn't matter too much since the Police M4 is all you really need for this build to work. This build has all weapon damage cores, crits as the minor attributes, and crit chance crit damage mods for the mask, chest, and backpack. Your goal with this build is to stack as much damage as possible so you can utilize the Obliterate talent on your Fenris chest piece. Fenris adds 10% more assault rifle damage to your build, and with the Obliterate talent, you can stack 1% weapon damage for each crit you land up to 20%. With 4 pieces of Striker's battle gear equipped on your build, you'll gain 15% weapon handling, 15% rate of fire, and the Striker's Gamble talent, which, thanks to the backpack on the build, allows you to stack 0.90% weapon damage up to a maximum of 100 stacks when you hit enemies. And lastly, I recommend using Cheska gloves because they add 8% crit hit chance to your build to help you reach that maximum amount of crit chance, which is 60%, to help you activate Obliterate more often. For skills, we have the Pulse for extra recon, so we know exactly where every threat is, and the Crusader Shield for an extra layer of survivability from range. If you're the type of agent who loves getting up close and personal, this Hunter's Fury build is your perfect entry point into the Division 2. Designed for brutal, close quarters domination, this beginner-friendly setup rewards aggressive gameplay with massive bonus damage, crowd control, and life-saving armor on kill. Hunter's Fury gives you a 20% amplified damage bonus to enemies within 15 meters. Unlike regular weapon damage, amplified damage stacks on top of all other bonuses, making it insanely powerful. Hunter's Fury also has a valuable on-kill effect which disorients all enemies within 5 meters. This crowd control effect slows enemies down, disrupts their aim, and gives you room to keep pushing forward, which is perfect for clearing out groups of enemies in tighter spaces. In addition to the massive amounts of damage you can stack with Hunter's Fury, you'll also gain 20% armor back for every kill, letting you play aggressively without needing a healer or medkits as often. Thanks to the Gunner specialization and the Palisades brand set, you'll increase your armor on kill gain to 40%, giving you nearly half of your armor back for each kill. You don't need perfect rolls or exotics to make Hunter's Fury work. Its set bonuses are enough to carry you through heroic and even legendary missions when fully optimized. If you like fast, fearless, and devastating gameplay, Hunter's Fury is the set for you. The more enemies there are, the stronger you become. To reach 40% armor on kill with this build, you'll need to use the Gunner specialization. Gunner also gives you access to the Banshee Pulse, which is one of the best skills in the game for CC. It doesn't just highlight enemies for you, it disorients them too. Any SMG will work on this build. Obviously, there's more optimal choices like exotics or named weapons, but we're staying away from those since they aren't as easy to obtain as a beginner. I'm using an MP7 with the Killer talent. With this talent, every time you kill an enemy with a crit, you gain 70% crit hit damage for 10 seconds. The higher your crit chance is, the easier it will be to activate Killer. Since Hunter's Fury also buffs shotgun damage, I'm using an M870 shotgun as my secondary with the Brazen talent. Receive 3.5% amplified damage on the next shot with this weapon for each pellet that hits the target, if at least 6 pellets hit. On this build, you'll use the Hunter's Fury mask, holster, gloves, and knee pads with a Palisades chest piece and Grupo Sombra backpack with crits as the minor attributes and crit chance crit damage mods on your gear. I wouldn't recommend going all reds for an SMG build because you're going to be playing up close. Stick to a minimum of at least 3 armor cores on your build. You can go higher if you'd like, but 3 should be the minimum. The 4-piece Hunter's Fury set adds 15% shotgun damage and SMG damage, 20% armor on kill, and the Apex Predator talent, which amplifies your damage by 20% to enemies within 20 meters. You'll also disorient nearby enemies when you kill a target, and the set will allow you to amplify your damage even further for each enemy you kill. One piece of Palisades adds 10% armor on kill, and for the talent, you'll be using Obliterate, yet again, so you can stack 1% weapon damage for each crit you land up to 20%. A Grupo Sombra backpack will increase your crit damage by 13%, and for the talent you'll use Unstoppable Force, which synergizes really well with the on-kill bonuses of Hunter's Fury. Killing an enemy increases total weapon damage by 5% for 15 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. For skills, you'll use the Reviver Hive to pick you up in case you get overwhelmed, and the Banshee Pulse so you can CC enemies and stack Hunter's Fury damage. Heartbreaker is one of the strongest and most versatile gear sets in the Division 2, especially for players who want high survivability and consistent damage output. The core mechanic of the Heartbreaker set is its Heartstopper talent, which gives you 1% bonus damage and 1% bonus armor per stack up to 50 stacks. Since you'll be utilizing the Heartbreaker chest piece and backpack on this build, you'll be able to reach 100 damage stacks and 100 bonus armor stacks in a shorter amount of time. The bonus armor stacks act as a personal shield that regenerates quickly as you keep landing shots. In higher level content, this extra layer of armor can be the difference between life and death. It's especially good for players who push the front line, play solo, or want to tank without sacrificing DPS. To stack damage and bonus armor, you need to deal damage to pulsed enemies. By default, the gear set will allow you to pulse enemies as you land headshots, but if you want to make this build more optimal and consistent, you'll use the Technician specialization. This specialization unlocks the linked laser pointer attachment, which automatically pulses enemies you aim at, making it much easier to build stacks. You don't need exotic or named gear to make this set work. It's effective even with basic rolls and becomes devastating when optimized. Like the Striker's build we went over earlier, this build is also using the Technician specialization for obvious reasons. To stack damage and bonus armor with Heartbreaker, you need to deal damage to pulsed enemies. The easiest way to pulse enemies without having to rely on headshots is to equip the linked laser pointer attachment on your assault rifle. Any assault rifle or LMG will work on this build. I'm using the ACR. This weapon has a slower rate of fire compared to the FAMAS or Police M4, but it's more accurate, has more range, and higher base damage. For the talent, you'll use Flatline, which amplifies weapon damage by 15% to pulsed enemies. A really good secondary for Heartbreaker builds is an ACS-12 shotgun. This shotgun doesn't have very high base damage, but its high rate of fire lets you stack Heartstopper very quickly, which is great if you want to reach max damage and max bonus armor as soon as possible. This build has a Heartbreaker mask, chest, holster, and backpack, with Cheska gloves and Fenris knee pads. You'll use 4 armor cores, crits as the minor attributes, and protection from elites mods on your mask, chest, and backpack to increase your survivability against elite enemies. 4-piece Heartbreaker adds 15% assault rifle and LMG damage, 15% weapon handling, and the Heartstopper talent. If you have the chest piece and backpack equipped like I have here, you'll be able to stack 100% weapon damage and 100% bonus armor in a short amount of time. The Cheska gloves are slotted in to help you reach at least 50% crit hit chance, and the Fenris knee pads are adding 10% more assault rifle damage to the build since it's your main weapon type. For skills, I like to use the Defender Drone to increase survivability even further when I go up against elite enemies, and the Reviver Hive to get me back into the fight if I slip up. Now that you've seen the top 3 best builds for new players in the Division 2, it's time to put them to the test. Whether you're stacking damage with Striker, tearing through enemies with Hunter's Fury, or tanking and shredding with Heartbreaker, each of these builds offers the perfect balance of power, survivability, and simplicity. Gear up, dive into the fight, and show DC what a real agent looks like, because with these builds, you're no longer just surviving, you're dominating. If you enjoyed today's video and want to see more Division 2 content coming soon, make sure you leave a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, everyone.